"Step 1 foot closer, mister, and I'll bury you under the same dirt you stand on." Those were the first words she ever spoke to me, words sharpened by defiance, heavy with the kind of threat only the desperate can muster. Her wrists were torn raw from the rope's snare, her dark eyes fixed on me like a hawk daring me to test its claws. I'd seen men spit their last curses with less fire in their belly than she carried, and for reasons I could not name, I cut her loose anyway. The world out here had a way of swallowing the nameless. Most passed by suffering when it didn't suit their purse, but I'd learned long ago that cruelty left a stench on a man's soul he could never quite wash off. "My name is Takoda, ghost-eyed Takoda," as the town liked to whisper, and I'd spent 28 years walking the line between the two halves of my blood, Lakota and white, never fully belonging to either fire. The railroad company kept me from my tracking. The townsfolk tolerated me because they feared the quiet in my voice. But no one welcomed me, not really. She said her name was Ahyoka. 21, sharp-boned, proud, and fierce as lightning caged in flesh. She was Apache, taken by bounty hunters who'd planned to march her into town and trade her as spectacle or worse. That I'd cut her loose didn't mean she trusted me. Trust is a coin earned slowly in the West, and I had none to spend. She followed me only because the desert night promised death faster than my company might. We reached my cabin at the edge of Deadwood Crossing as dusk sank low. Inside, she sat like a cornered fox, watching every move I made. When she ate, it was with suspicion, as if I might poison the bread. When she drank, her fingers clenched the cup as though it were her last defense. But the firelight revealed something beyond suspicion. A terrible weariness, as though she'd carried her people's grief on her shoulders and found no place to set it down. By morning, the town had already seen her shadow flicker against my window. Gossip spreads faster than prairie fire. Ghost-eyed Takoda's keeping a squaw, the whispers slithered through Deadwood Crossing. Mothers tugged children away when I passed. The store clerk refused me flour. And Sheriff Elijah Harper, a man who balanced kindness with duty like a coin on its edge, warned me straight, "Keep her here and you'll share her exile. Town won't forgive what it doesn't understand." But I'd already chosen. And choices once made out here carry the weight of lead. The days stretched into weeks. Every errand to town ended with fresh stares, sharper silence. Work on the railroad dried up. My bosses spoke of associations that blackened their reputation. Clara Mayfield, the saloon pianist, was the only one with enough grace to slip me a loaf now and then, her eyes glimmering with pity and a tune of some sad hymn she never finished. Ahyoka and I learned each other in fragments. She spoke little English, I less Apache, yet the silence between us grew softer. She left wild sage at my doorstep one morning, a gift I pretended not to understand. I mended her moccasin without a word. She wore it without thanks, but her gaze lingered longer on me after that. At night we sat by the fire, her voice humming a tune older than railroads, older than fences, older than hate. I'd catch myself staring into the flames, thinking how her song stitched up cracks inside me I hadn't realized were bleeding. But every act of grace came at the cost of heavier judgment. Storekeepers shut their doors. Old friends looked through me as if I were glass. The council murmured of taking her from my cabin, sending her east, where men with sharper teeth waited. Even Elijah's patience wore thin. One evening, Clara slipped into my cabin with a warning, "They mean to drag her out come nightfall. You won't stop them with silence this time." Then she was gone, piano notes trailing like ghosts in her wake. I prepared as I always had, not with guns but with calm. I built no barricade, sharpened no blade. When the council came with lanterns and demands, I met them at my door. They expected rage, maybe violence. Instead, I gave them silence so still it unsettled them. My refusal was quieter than their shouting, but heavier too. By midnight, they left, muttering of lost causes and wasted time. That night, Ahyoka wept. She didn't mean for me to hear, but tears fall loud in small cabins. She came to me then, shoulders bare, her eyes burning with a kind of gratitude that frightened me more than hatred ever could. She offered herself, her body, as repayment for the ruin I'd brought upon my own life. For a moment, the silence cracked. I saw the pain of a woman who believed her worth could be measured only by what men took from her. Instead, I lifted my old blanket and wrapped it around her trembling frame. "You owe me nothing," I said, the words tasting strange on my tongue. "Your freedom is the only return I ever wanted." In that instant, the world shifted. It was not I who had rescued her, but she who was rescuing me, from a life of drifting, of belonging to no one and nothing. At dawn, Elijah Harper rode up alone. His face was carved with the weariness of a man who had chosen duty too many times. "Town's finished with you, Takoda," he said. "Best ride out before they make it uglier." I thanked him, not bitter, only resolved. I packed my few belongings, a knife, a book of psalms left by my mother, the blanket that still carried Ahyoka's warmth. I meant to tell her she was free to go her own way. But when I saddled my horse, she was already there beside me, her eyes steady, her silence louder than any vow. She chose the road with me not because she had to, but because she wanted to. And that choice bound us more than rope, more than blood, more than law. We rode out as the sun cracked the horizon, the prairie opening wide like a wound that refused to heal. There was no celebration, no farewell. Just two exiles moving forward, dignity their only shelter, the sky burning endless above them. Maybe the West was never meant for belonging. Maybe it was carved for the outcast hearts that keep moving, keep choosing each other when the world spits them out. I rescued her, yes, but truth is, she rescued me first. Hold close the broken, for they carry the fire. Choose mercy and the world cannot unmake you.